Hello and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stuart Booth.
I'm Jack Luffman.
You're trying to interrupt my introduction.
I just wasn't ready. You beat me to it then. You was a bit early.
All over the place.
You're that excited because you came out of isolation yesterday.
Human contact.
Are you clear?
I don't know. Yeah. Generally, I'm clear, fit and healthy. I'm ready for this podcast.
Oh, here we go.
Bringing the energy this week.
Can't believe it. Even after last night. Late night.
Well, we'll discuss that all in good time, Jack.
Are we actually going to discuss it?
I think we should talk about it in great detail.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, right. So this week we'll be talking football. We're going to do a little bit about Premier League, any transfer potential rumours that are going on. Plus, Digne has finally made the move.
Yeah.
A few parting shots on the way.
Good effort.
Good effort.
Did you do it?
Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about the Ashes. The fifth test has just started, so I don't know if you were sending me very happy videos this morning.
I was.
I take it's all changed since then.
It has.
Okay, we'll have a little look at that. You chucked in there Hamilton, but I've no idea what it is.
Not the musical.
No, well, if Shell was in, would be the musical.
Yeah.
Freak injuries, and the other one is we can't go without mentioning AFCON. Because, if anything, that is one of the most entertaining competitions. Not even for the football, just for the whole organisation of it. And yeah, I want to have a chat about that. So we'll have a look at that. But we'll start off with our sporting week. So last week was the opening game of the season for Jack Luffman.
Yeah.
And you scored
2.
Some things never change.
But it's about the team, Booth. I keep telling you this.
Yeah, whenever
my team, my club, and we got off to winning ways.
Going against Rhinos, was it?
Yeah, Rhinos, who are alleged, I'm not in court, who are apparently, I should say, a strong outfit, strong club. They're playing a lot of the leagues in and around, first time in the DSL. So we were pleased. We actually had them about, I think it was 50 for 5, 60 for 5 or something like that. And their best batter sort of came in, I think 5 or 6 and batted really well, to be fair. And then we were a bit rusty in the middle, and we've not even trained because it sort of A to B very quickly. Yeah. So there's a bit of rustiness with the bowling and in the field, but we got through, and I took 2 catches and I nearly made an absolute balls up the first one, but it ended up being an absolute world.
Oh, so by fluke?
Yeah, so I was at long off, and lads hit it in the air, and all game me and Clint was at long on, and 1 or 2 other people, and Clint was by, saying just struggling to pick the ball up, the flight of the ball even on the floor. I don't know if it's because your eyes a bit out of training a little bit, or it was quite glary, and the pitch 1 we're playing, there's quite a lot of trees around. So anyway, I'd been...
Sounds like some great excuses.
Yeah, but literally been trying to, struggling to pick it up. Anyway, so he's hit it, I know he's hit it in the air, and usually, when I coach the kids, don't come running in, count to 3. So I saw it, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's not getting to it. So I started, running in, and then all of a sudden I realised, oh no. So I was like, feet, and then so I managed to backtrack and took it one-handed above my head, and it's just gone into these like that. And all the lads who couldn't really see what was going on were like, oh wow, unbelievable, like that. I just chucked the ball like that, and Clint was at long on, he was laughing. He's going, I was saying to myself, stop. So I nearly made a balls up of it, but we didn't. We got there in the end.
I love how you mentioned long on and long off, and I'm going to Scooby-Doo about this
on the boundary.
Okay, right. All right.
So took we did well. We chased 180 to win quite comfortably.
Well, I was going to say, I believe Clint, the batting machine, stepped up again, didn't he?
Clint, unbelievable. 2 for 15 off his 5 overs with the ball, 2 catches, and then me and him opened the batting. The skipper decided to go that way. I think it's a good move because Clint is our best player, and to take advantage of that power play. He ended up with 91 off 50 odd balls. He would have got more, but he just got a bit of cramp in his calves. So he
not enough water, Clint. Not enough water.
Yeah, but unbelievable. He hit his first 3 balls. His first 4 balls. So he went 6, 4, 6, 1.
Oh, good effort.
So yeah, it was really good. And then
so you've got something to aspire to now, Jack.
I've never got that in my locker, mate. And then young Ethan, 15-year-old, ended up 76 not out.
Oh, excellent.
So all in all, very good team performance. Well, very good result. A decent team performance. Areas to build on. We go against Saturday.
Against a team that you potentially would think we may be qualifying.
So they say, yes.
Okay, so where does that leave you this week?
So we play Saturday afternoon again against TCC.
And how did they get on last week?
They got hammered actually, and we beat them they were in our group or our pool before Christmas. So, but again, like a lot of sides, you don't really know who's going to turn up and play. So we're strong. We've got the 11 out playing. We've got Sid, who's not in the side because he's COVID, so he's only out. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, depending on when he gets his certificate. Ash is back in the country after getting married. He's got a bit of a sore shoulder and still recovering.
Well, surely going to stay with the same 11 that played last week.
Young Cavan, he's 12th man. And then we've got one of our overseas players, if you like, flying in on Sunday.
Beautiful. I like the fact that you keep him with the same team, you know, and it'll be down to either injury or people absence before you potentially get back in.
I think that's it. I mean, I have nothing to do with selection. That is...
Oh, because you're chairman. You've got to stay partial.
So that's the cricket side of things. But I think you're right. And I think, to be fair, even if Ash and Sid, for example, the two ones think were fully fit, I don't think Dave would have changed it.
No, that's good.
But anyway, it's good, looking good. More to the point, the man made his comeback.
Yes.
Off his sick bed.
Yeah, so I literally got my clearance letter on Wednesday, which said I was allowed to leave the house on Thursday, and then had a game Thursday night.
And I came to watch.
Yes, Jack did appear to come down and support the booth on his first game of 2022.
A bit of fresh air was needed from my point of view.
Yeah, well, we've already cooked up the remote learning drivers all insane. But I tell you what, at this point, rather than me review the game, you can do the review.
Good result, 2-0.
Yeah. Against, they're not the best team, but they're a hard-working team with a sprinkle of some quality difference.
Yeah, I think it was probably a bit like our cricket. You could tell that neither side had played. Well, you guys, I think, have played or trained. I'm not sure about the other.
We've not had a match. We've only played 3 games this season.
So you could tell it was a bit rusty. I got there about 10 minutes after kick-off, and you were at centre half.
Back to centre back.
But yeah, probably the early part of the game, they probably had the better of it, I would say, even though without doing anything with it. Your keeper made a good save at one point.
I was going to say, I can't remember any saves the keeper made.
He certainly didn't make any in the second half. But anyway, so it was just nip and tuck. All-Stars, you guys probably wasted some opportunities, not chances, but some opportunities to create a chance or two, and I think the gaffer alluded to that in the half-time team talk. And then, for those listeners out there, so Stu's at centre half, and I could just see as the game was wearing on, he was getting a little bit, what's the word, frustrated.
Let's say antsy.
Yeah, in terms, to the point where he just took it in his own, he just kept further and further forward, going on even more. I think I described it as marauding runs. I thought you should have scored.
Yeah.
Or at least, like I think you said, made the keeper work hard.
Yeah.
Marauding 1-2 of a run and then a header on the edge of the box.
Yeah, I think the thing is here is I pick the ball up and play it in behind the fullback, and the camera running, he lifts it over to me on the edge of the area, and as the ball's coming to me, it's head height, and I'm thinking, I've got to get enough power and height to try and get it at the goal. So, because it was a floated ball, there was no whip on it or anything. And I was trying to get it towards the corner, but make sure the power and the height was on it, and ended up going almost just to the right of the goalkeeper, which then ended up being quite a comfortable save. I was a bit disappointed in myself. I was like,
I thought he should
have done. Yeah, it was one of them. It was set up, wasn't it, for a really good goal?
Yeah, it would have been a good goal. Yeah, and so there's a bit more of that going on, and I think the gaffer, always a standing gaffer, you say, sensed this, and probably been listening to me on the podcast from before Christmas. So I'm going to take credit for it. Made the substitution and switched, brought another centre half on and switched Stu up front. And I kid you not, within seconds, you scored.
It was my first touch as the centre forward.
Rebound off the goalkeeper, little nodded header home from about 7 yards. And then made the assist, a lovely little...
About a minute later.
Oh, less than a minute, I reckon.
Yeah, literally from the kick-off.
From the next attack,
From the kick-off, they went back, got caught with it. We pinched the ball and then...
Yeah, a little 1-2 and a little back heel in and a nice finish from, I don't know who it was.
Team.
Oh, we've got a team now. Team. But yeah, nice sort of... And then it was pretty comfortable after that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of...
Fizzled out a little bit. If you were being critical, probably you guys should have created a bit more.
Yeah, I think there was one potential other chance where I flicked it through for T, and I think his touch was a bit heavy in the keeper, and the defender kind of came patted.
And then your winger, the sub, the quick winger, come on, and I felt a bit soft for him.
Oh, Mania,
because he got through a good move again. Actually, through on goal, gets it, shifts it onto his favoured left foot.
Yeah,
and then just slips
and scuffs it.
Yeah, but you could see him go underneath. I thought, But yeah, it's pretty ordinary. And like I say, the opposition didn't. They had one chance.
Chance towards the end.
They should have scored. But
there was 3 minutes to go when that, because that's the referee, and he was like, it's 3 minutes plus another minute added on, and then that lad broke through. On goal, and I thought he should have hit the target.
Yeah, he should have scored, I think. But yeah, all in all, it was good to be out. And yeah, do you get the difference, Stu?
That's right.
The gaffer, you've got to listen. You've got to play more.
That's what I'm going to call myself now. Stu, the difference.
Difference. I gave you a little nice write-up. That was like back to my journalism days when I got 50 words to describe the game, and I did it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Like that,
I have not put it on the group yet, but I'll probably after a few beers time I might stick it on there. I'll probably get slated to high hell, but you know what? I'm the difference. Right, on to
that's your wrestling name.
Yeah,
The Difference.
What a great name. Right, okay, we'll have a little look through back on last week's game. The bizarre thing was it wasn't Premiership, it was FA Cup weekend.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the Premier League thing here. So there was only a handful of Premiership games which involved Southampton versus Brentford. The Everton game got called off. Southampton spanked Brentford 4-1. Great result for Southampton. Slightly worrying result for Brentford is that has that little bit of the newness started to wear off, and people now maybe exploiting the gaps that we didn't initially see because of their frantic football they used to play.
Yeah, also definitely from Brentford. There's that. Obviously, there's injuries and there's probably COVID kicking around as well that probably just highlight. I mean, every club's suffering. We had that chat a bit off air. You know, I'm just a big believer in every game should go ahead and stop the 25-man Premier League squad. They've all got 40-odd players in academies. Just bring them in, or we talked about bringing people back in off loan for whatever. But so maybe that's being Brentford are struggling a little bit with that. But I tell you what a result from Southampton in front of the new owners.
Yeah.
And they're just quietly. I thought they might struggle at the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah,
and I think they were.
They brought in a lot of nobody knows the players.
And they've gone well, haven't they?
Well, that Brozier lad is on loan from Chelsea.
Ambrosia?
Yeah, not Ambrosia, Darren Ambrosia. No, Brozier.
Yeah,
is from Chelsea,
yeah.
And they're on about recalling him.
I know, yeah, because they've just recalled who's the Brazilian they've got at Chelsea. They just recalled him from Brazil. Sent him out.
I have no idea.
I can't think of his name.
But yeah, great result for Southampton, and then the other Premier League game, and then we'll have a quick recap on the FA Cup one, especially after talk about Newcastle. Was West Ham 2, Norwich 0. I actually watched the highlights of this. Bowen has a goal disallowed, scores 2, hits the post and hits the crossbar in a game where he could have scored and should have scored 5.
He's the form player at the minute, isn't he?
Well, I think for regards to West Ham, they kind of flitter between it like a handful, and it kind of goes on a rotation between Bowen, Antonio,
Lanzini.
Yeah, Lanzini popped up a little bit. Then you got Forlands as well. Yeah. So they've got a handful of real quality players there, and young as well. So
Bowen's England call up.
Is he not Scottish? I think
is
he English?
He's English.
I don't know.
Definitely English. I think.
But you'd argue that
if he's picking people on form and things like that, he's one of the wide forwards.
Yeah, you'd say so. You'd only argue is that the right wing forward for England at the moment is probably Saka, and he's playing well.
Yeah,
you definitely wouldn't be Sancho anyway, would you?
No, and actually, when it comes to England, I'm a big believer. Yeah, people on form, clearly, but you've got to go for what you've done at international a little bit as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that proved. I said it before. You know that in the qualifiers, that where we drew at home or whatever it was, or away with Bulgaria or Hungary, or whatever it was, the difference was because Sterling and Kane at that time weren't on top form, and we didn't have any cutting edge because the other players at the minute just at that level just not quite cutting it. So to put a brand new player in there, probably not. But I think he deserves a chance in the squad.
Yeah, I think it'd be just good to get him around them players and see actually where his level is.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what surprised everybody is that when Saka got brought in, he came from nowhere, and then before we knew it, he was starting, and it was like, how on earth is this kid starting? But he must be showing something. And
it's sometimes the system that you play, isn't it? Yeah. The system at club level doesn't quite suit international and vice versa.
But right, we'll have a quick look through the FA Cup results. I think for me personally, I'll quickly mention this: Cardiff beat Northend after extra time. Bad result for Preston, and resulted in Cardiff drawing Liverpool in the next round.
Yeah,
so the Preston fans will be sick as a dog. And Liverpool, I actually watched this game. Liverpool 4-1 at Shrewsbury. Started with a relatively young attacking force. Relatively I would say, experienced back line and ended up going 1-0 down.
Good goal though, by the way.
It was a good move, but you'd seen warning signs a couple of minutes prior because the same lad had got down that left-hand side and delivered a good ball, but nobody was there.
It was an excellent goal.
So I think there was a little bit of a heart in the mouth moment, but then kind of cruised the second half and ended up walking away 4-1. But unlike you guys, where you had heart in mouth moment for a little bit longer, having gone 1-0 down to Morecambe, eventually winning the game with all three subs coming off the bench making a big impact.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty poor. I mean, again, the goal. I mean, I've seen they've conceded 4 goals in a week, and they've all been Tanganga's fault. You know, for the two-legged cup game, for all of Chelsea's dominance, and they were the best side of the 2 legs. I'm not saying that, but actually, the difference between the two sides was the fact that Tanganga had made 3 mistakes for those 3 goals, and he did the same on Sunday. And then, to be fair to Morecambe, they dug in as you would do. They're just 4-5. And even the difference in levels still highlighted Spurs' lack of creativity from the middle of the park.
I think when you've got something to defend, it's a completely different story.
And the adrenaline will be pumping and stuff like that. You always sensed that there would be a chance for Spurs. And of course, when he brought on Kane and Ndombele, and not Ndombele, and
Mora and Winks as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that a case of now looking at the players that he brought off? Because Ali was one that came off. Was Ndombele?
Well, Ndombele got booed off.
Is that a case now? And he walked down the tunnel as well. Is that a case of Dele Alli again throwing away another opportunity?
To be honest with you, and actually the Spurs fans in general on the forums, who are probably 50-50 on him over the last 2 or 3 years, were actually in favour, because to be fair to him, he was playing as a number 9, and I didn't think he did that bad. Again, all of the good stuff while he was on the pitch was through him, and I think the fans acknowledged him. I was a bit surprised that it came off. I thought they'd have kept him on, dropped him a bit deeper, and then. But it's clear that that he didn't play either game in the cup competition. Even after the Liverpool game where he played well as arguably Spurs' best player, he's clearly not in favour, and there's rumour Everton on loan, they reckon. Right. I think Spurs will try and do a loan deal with him because what they don't want is for him to sell him to a club who's going to give him a run of games and also get back to the Dele Alli that we all know, and that every football fan, English football fan, wants him playing.
Yeah,
well,
I think
so if they go on a loan.
That hopefully, if Spurs are doing this not just for their own sake, but for the fact that for him as well, because he'll be sitting there going, "There's a World Cup year, we're in a World Cup
24,
year," and he'll be itching to go to Qatar.
And I've said before, and it's not it was a bit because you're a Spurs player, but you've said it, you rate him because you're a football man. That actually, of all the midfield players that we have in England, in that he's the one who could score goals. The others aren't necessarily regular goal scorers playing at top form. And I know we've not seen Dele Alli anywhere near his top form for 18 months or more now, and I appreciate that. But yeah, anyway, we got through. 2 good finishes good free kick from Winks finally. Keeper's made a hash of it.
Oh yeah, he's got caught underneath.
But
a bit like Jack's catch.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. Although I should have played in goal and tipped it over the bar. And and then Moore's pace when the fullback gets caught, and then class little finish from Kane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But we're in the hats.
That's correct. But the team that isn't in the hat, and Kieran Trippier must be sat there now wondering, what on earth have I done?
Should come to Spurs.
Is Newcastle. To be fair, keeper has had one of them games where he'll never have a game again like that.
And in fact, 3 goals disallowed, I think, for offside. And to be fair,
that's what we love about the FA Cup.
They
love days where things go against the big teams. The little teams have that little bit of luck, and the keeper has a worldie, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, I don't think they've clearly won. I don't think that would do Newcastle that much harm, though.
No,
because at least now. Because the fact of the matter is, the further down the competition you go, that the pressure of we can actually win this thing.
Yeah.
So you've got to play your best side.
Yeah. The only thing I can see that it might have been a benefit, because Eddie Howe must be looking at that and going, "We're not going to win it," but it's an opportunity to get more game time in the new players that are coming through the door in order to get them settled. Because as we're now aware, Wood has he gone?
Yeah,
is it official? So Wood's gone there, which we had a laugh and joke about was. If Steve Bruce, and we'll throw this out to people at home, Steve Bruce had made that signing, do you think Newcastle fans would have been accepting that?
Absolutely
Because we
not.
don't think so. We think that Newcastle fans would be going ballistic on why
Wood.
he's signing a Wood that
Wood
barely
is just-
scores double figures every season.
Yeah, Wood is just an old-fashioned, if you like, number 9, Championship, lower Premier League, who might get on he has a run of goals and he all of a sudden scores 5 in 5 games, 5 in 7. Then you don't see him. I don't know when the last time he scored.
Yeah.
You made a good point. If they were looking for a bit of a number 9, a battering man, and who has been playing some football and going okay, bring Andy Carroll back. Because I'm telling you now, I mean, for 5 months, at least he's a Newcastle boy.
Yeah.
I just think 25 million is a lot of money.
Overpriced by about 24
And I know,
million.
because they've not, just bizarre. Doesn't surprise people who are saying, "Oh, why Burnley sold the arrival?" Doesn't surprise me. Dyche he's no mug. 25 million.
He'll get rid of him. Connect is the way forward for Burnley. If Burnley are going to get out of this, they need Connect playing, and they need to play around him. They've still got Ashley Barnes in the
They've
ranks.
got Barnes. They've got not Viduka. What's his name? The fella.
I know you're about
Vidra, and they've got Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And did you not see what I tagged you in on Instagram? You've probably not been on it this afternoon. Quite. Might have been on my way here. There's rumour that they're going to go for Andy Carroll.
Wowzers. That would be class.
So Andy Carroll with the young lad around him.
He's quick as well, that Connect.
Because tell you what, defenders do not like playing against Andy Carroll.
No.
Because he's horrible.
Who does? He's a big, horrible person. But
But Newcastle are out. Well played, Cambridge.
Yeah, and congratulations, Kidderminster Harriers, lowest ranked team. We've got a Premiership team, which is always good.
Yeah.
I love that. The lot I played with at Squires Gate midfield, Hanks, end up signing for Kidderminster Harriers. I'm playing with them for about 7-8 years.
Did he? I'm just going to keep talking because I just want to get my facts right here. Kidderminster Harriers play at Agbra Stadium, I think.
At what stadium?
The Agbra Stadium.
I've no idea.
Because I went there once with some friends.
And you went all the way to Kidderminster?
To watch. So it is. So little anecdote. So our friends were, my friend Chris Travers actually now works sports editor at the Sentinel in Stoke, Lincoln boy, or Sleaford boy, Lincoln City fan. And one day, I don't know what it is, do you want to go come and watch Lincoln? So me and Dad drive to Sleaford, and there's obviously a bit of a contingent. We go with Trav and the Gins, who are well-known sporting kind of officials and in Lincolnshire. And we go to watch Kidderminster Harriers play Lincoln City at the Agbra Stadium, right?
What year was this?
Oh my goodness. Early 2000s? I think I was at university.
I know. Hanks, when he signed for them, probably late 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s would have been. Anyway, so off we go. And Chris Moore, who was with us as well, lovely fella, said, I love going to Kidderminster. It's a bit of a trek because it's the other side of the country to us, but the snack bar's wonderful. I said, oh, big fella, Chris Moore. Said, yeah, wonderful. The Agbra soup. Anyway, I kid you not, got there and he's chucking into this Agbra soup. And it's, it comes in a polystyrene, a football thing, and it's just cold Saturday afternoon. I'm not either side of Christmas, I can't just remember anyway like that. Anyway, he's drinking this soup and it's got all sorts in it, veg, chunks of meat like that. And this bit of meat sort of slaps him on the chin, like a big bit of pork or gristle, like the famous Agbra soup. No. That's Kidderminster Harriers.
I tell you what would be interesting is, I've seen a few people, in the post, like, I got this burger and chips for £10.80 at Arsenal. £10.80 for a burger and a tiny push chip. I remember there was a thing in the Northwest about the best pie and peas.
Yeah.
And as a player, at the end of the game, that's what we used to get. Pies and Morecambe's were brilliant. Morecambe had a really good pie. But we used to do decent pie and peas at Squires Gate.
Squires Gate, when I was at Bosch United a lot, when I was a lot younger, I used to help out doing the ball boy and clean the boots. We used to have to get, so after half time, we have to go in and get the old big kettle of pot of tea for the dressing room, both dressing rooms like that. And then after that, we were allowed to drink and a snack. And we used to always get a minced beef and onion pie. You always burnt your mouth on it.
Absolutely. It was like opposite to here.
Yeah.
Here you go for food and they go, do you like it warm, sir? And you go, yeah. And it's like nuked on the outside, frozen on the middle.
Yeah.
Theirs was like cool on the outside, 100,000 degrees in the middle.
You always burn the beef in your mouth. I used to always put mint sauce on mine.
Yeah, I tell you what, we should see if we can dig out some old relic of grounds and still see if they do stuff like that.
The accuracy. So which Premiership side did they get? I forgot.
West Ham.
So at West Ham. No,
I think it's at Kidderminster.
So you Iron fans, get yourself down to Agba Stadium and get some famous Agba soup.
Yeah. Right, while we're on football, we'll stay with the transfers. I tell you what we're going to look at is Newcastle. Obviously, they're going to be linked with every Tom, Dick and Harry. Yeah. But a couple of interesting ones. Donny van Beek.
Yeah, I thought about him talking to for Spurs, Paul Walker. That would be ideal for Spurs.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. He's got to get some football, hasn't he?
Well, I think he's looking, and again, with it being a World Cup year, he'll be looking to try and get some. But there's talk of Borussia Dortmund being in the link as well. And the other one that Newcastle are linked with is a bizarre one, because I would say it's more an investment one. I don't think they need investment players. I think they need impact players now. Todd Cantwell.
Oh, from Norwich.
He's a decent player. Did okay in the Premiership. Does relatively well in Championship, but would be, I'd say, a player for 2-3 years.
And he's hardly played this season. And there's some talk about his attitude, isn't there, and desire. So I'm not sure that's the right way for Newcastle at the moment. Again, another one that I think Spurs, not that they've got the money, but Spurs keep being linked with every Tom, Dick and Harry, because obviously everybody knows that Conte wants signings, but he's not one for us. Although he's the type of player we need. But
yeah, I tell you whose name keeps popping up with Spurs, and you didn't like it last time I mentioned. Adam Traore is not going away, Well,
they reckon, I've done a bit of. Have you read about it? The fact that he reckons he wants him as his right wing back. So you know what he did with Victor Moses at Chelsea?
Yes.
Turned him into a right wing. That's what apparently he sees him at. But and I can see that because of his pace and his power and fits.
Because he exposed it back, isn't it? Any crossfield balls.
And he can't. He's as bad as thing. He can't pass wind.
Yeah.
Let him cross the road.
His last ball is a little bit left to be desired.
So again, I think with Spurs, I saw Paul Walker this morning actually, that we need, almost a bit like you're saying with Newcastle, we need people proven right now to make that difference. And if that means getting some free agents or some loan deals rather than paying through the roof for average players, I'd rather that. Like Ericsson's kicking about, get him in, get him match fit, get him on a free deal to the end of the year. I would have got Trippier back. Well, I would have got Trippier back, for example. That ship's that's where we want. There's no point now in January paying over the odds for average. We've done that since. Well, our last good sign, in my opinion, was Young-Min Son.
What I was going to ask you is that they reckon that Ndombele's kicked his last ball for Spurs. Do you get rid of him in this window, or do you think, we might be able to get a little bit of money for him now, or do you keep hold of him just in case you need him for the rest of the season? Because let's be honest, he hasn't lit the world up like you expected at Spurs, but there is a good player in there, and you do see snippets of it from time to time. And it could still be useful in that, trying to chase that top four position.
His frustration amounts to it. I don't honestly know. I do think if it was between him and, I know there's slightly different players between him and Dele, I would keep Dele and Bond and Ndombele, because for the same reasons, like I say, you can't. I'm just surprised with Conte. I know that, what he has done, he's shored us up, and he knows that in Kane and Son in particular, and more on the back of that, you've got three players when they're all fit that are good enough to scare any side.
Yeah.
I still think that Moore, although he'll go down as a club legend because of his hat-trick in the semi-final, and rightly so, and I love his attitude. He
always, bit of a joker as well in the programme.
Yeah, he's not quite a top four star. Ironically, I think he's somebody that could convert to a right wing back because he's got pace, he works dead hard, he's great in the air for a little man, and his ball's much better, but I don't think he sees him that. But I'm just surprised that Conte has not played or given the opportunity to Dele or Ndombele or even Lo Celso. I know he's been injured, but Lo Celso is that more creative midfield player from in the middle of the park. But maybe he just decided
it's
this is where we're going. And
better for the squad, possibly. And the other one that has popped up, well, there's two. There's always going to be Haaland. And the rumour that goes with him, he's obviously linked with every single big club, Liverpool, United, City not so much, PSG's in there, Barcelona in there, Real Madrid. If you were Haaland, out of all them clubs you could go to, where would you go to?
At the minute,
for me, there's only two clubs I think. And Chelsea are obviously in the mix as well.
I think that if he wants to win stuff and he wants to prove himself across the league, if you like. I think he's got to come to England. And I think that he's obviously a goal scorer, the one place where I think they need a goal scorer. And if you're looking from the outside, you think, I'm definitely going to play week in, week out, would be Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I know you said not much of it, and City, I still think City need a striker. Having said that, and this is the problem what Grealish has had, isn't it? That Pep, and we've all said, Pep just, particularly that forward 7 or 8 or whatever, you just never know who's going to play.
Yeah, it's such a rotation.
So as a young player, or I know he's not all that young or even proven, I'm still not convinced that if they spend under 30 million on him, he would play every week. Whereas I think if they spend under 30 million on Kane, I think he would have played every week because of his age. You're not going to spend that on a 28-year-old as it was in the summer and not playing.
Yeah.
So if it was Haaland, I think I'd go Liverpool in England. Or it depends. I mean, I guess Real Madrid or Barcelona are always a pull, aren't they?
Yeah. I'd stay away from Barcelona. My 2, if I was Haaland, and that's obviously potential rose-tinted glasses, but with Liverpool, 1 is that you're under a manager there that loves and cares for his players, and I think that all players love that.
Yeah.
I think he'd definitely do well under there. And especially with the attacking force Liverpool would have then. And the way Liverpool play, very similar to Dortmund. And the fact that it's quick
and
attack and direct, that he'd love that. But the only other one would be Real Madrid. Is that I wouldn't touch PSG simply because, again, that's just a strange setup and in a really weird environment in a lesser league. You are going to go and play with a bunch of superstars, but it's non-competitive.
We'll see the Pochettino to Man United. I think will happen in the summer, won't it? And I think that probably says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got going on in Barcelona is just a complete and utter rebrand and rebuild that needs to happen there. And they're going to be years off
Champions League. Because that's the thing. If you're that kind of player there, Haaland, surely the next step is I want to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
So you've got to go to a side that has a chance of doing that. Like I said, Barcelona doesn't, I don't think. Madrid probably doesn't really, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
The English clubs are certainly the stronger ones at the moment, and the German clubs. I mean, is there a situation where it goes to Bayern if Lewandowski moves on?
They've done that before.
They've done it before, yeah.
They took Lewandowski from Dortmund last time.
So is that if he moves on somewhere?
Yeah, and the other one that's interesting, and we'll leave this one, we'll go through this dead quick. Jude Bellingham keeps popping up, and Liverpool linked with him. I know that probably every club will end up getting linked with him. Potential young midfielder. And if we're looking at Liverpool now, and you've got Henderson the wrong side of 30. Thiago was only ever a short-term thing. He's the wrong side of 30. Fabs is ageing.
You need some youth in there.
There definitely could be a valid option. Obviously, Curtis Jones. I don't think we've worked out where Curtis Jones' best position is. I don't know if he sits Liverpool style of play.
Yeah.
Because he's good on the ball and he has a little bit of a jink and thing, but he's not quick enough to play in one of the wide positions like Mane or Salah. And I don't think he does enough involvement in the game to play centre midfield because I feel like sometimes he just wants to hold on to it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I've said before, the way Liverpool play, and we alluded to it with Haaland, is that their creativity comes from the wide fullbacks and not necessarily from midfield.
Yeah.
The midfielders are like the water carriers almost, aren't they? They've been there, we'll get it wide. I'm not saying there's a bit more about it, but your most creative midfielders, Thiago, and since he's been there, he's probably played the less minutes than anybody. Yeah. And I think that says a lot for the system. It's not a criticism, it's just the way it is. And so, like I say, Jones, Bellingham, we've probably not seen enough of him to know what type of... To me, he looks like an old-fashioned box-to-box midfielder who's got a goal in it.
Yeah, I think the problem is they're trying to pencil him as a CDM to start with, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then you realise that he's actually got a bit more about him.
He looks a bit more like a Lampard than like a Declan Rice. But then Declan Rice to me is developing into a box-to-box midfield player. What's the harm in that? Why do we have to go down FIFA and CDM?
No, I don't think...
Why can't you play for England if it was, let's argument say, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham and just go, if you go, I'll sit.
That's it, isn't it? It's funny that because that's the whole conversation of when you play midfield is that one goes, one sits. And then that was always a rule. And if you kind of find yourself behind yours at the centre midfield, he's bombing on with it, you knew just to hold fire for
even the youth level or the level I played at, if I played midfield, that was always what it was. Right. You go, I'll sit, and you pull your wide man on or one of your forwards in if the attack breaks down. But interesting. I'd like to see Bellingham in England. I would honestly play in the Premiership.
Right, we'll leave football there for the time being. We'll skip over to Ashes because England won. No, they didn't win, but it seems like a win.
It's a 5-day test match, Stuart. I messaged you after half an hour of play.
Oh, no, about the fact that since then we drew.
Oh, yeah, that's what we've got to draw.
See, it feels like a win, doesn't it, Jack?
Jimmy, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, we've got to draw.
Which is celebrating like a win because we're that bad.
Yeah, it's stopped the 5-0 drubbing.
Yeah.
Much better, to be fair. Showed
a bit of character.
Yeah, a bit of character. Like I've said, for me, they've picked the wrong squad initially. They've then picked the wrong size and they're out there. We can't change that. It's very difficult in Australia. They are better than us at the moment in their conditions, and their bowling attack is far superior to our batting. So he doesn't. But the first 3 Test matches, we just kind of laid down and took it. Whereas in that last match, we showed a little bit, and Zach Crawley, showed a bit, and I would have liked to see him get 100. And then just holding out, and Jimmy and Broady at the end there holding out, which is really good. And then this morning we started one in Hobart.
Send me a video of Smith out after 2 balls.
Yeah, second ball, 12 for 3 they were at that point. We'd already dropped Labuschagne on naught.
So that many then went on the squad.
He got 40 on, and what they did is they counter-attacked very well. Because I think it was doing a bit with the pink ball and very green, the wicket, but it wasn't. It did a bit, but I don't think it was nibbling and doing all sorts. I think underneath it's a good batting track, and him and Head plundered us. We did get him out just before lunch, but it finished early, and they're over 200 for 6 now.
Wow, so they've got on 100 and something.
They scored 130 runs between, it's not lunch and tea, dinner and supper, they're calling it, because it's a day-night test match. 130 runs for 1 wicket.
Wow, they're disappointed having 55 for...
Well, they were 80 for 4 at lunch. So yeah, I mean, fair play to the Aussie batsmen. We looked a bit toothless. They made 5 changes. Jimmy apparently is not fit enough to play, so he's not playing. Robinson come back into the side, but he's injured. They don't really know what he's done. Something back spasm or shoulder spasm or something. So they need to get up in amongst it tomorrow, bowl them out quickly, and then they're in the Test match. They're not out of the Test match, but I think when you win the toss, you stick them in, and after having 12 for 3, you've got to bowl them out on day 1. I think we should be batting now.
Oh well, it hasn't happened,
but
so
there we go.
But it's nice times for us at the moment, isn't it? What did it start about 9, 10 o'clock?
8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock.
Beautiful. Bit of remote working this morning.
I wouldn't put the television on while I'm remote learning myself personally.
Would you not?
No.
Sky Sports News on your iPad?
No. You would never see any evidence of that at all.
Okay.
Right, Hamilton. What do you want to talk about Hamilton for?
Well, apparently he's not made a decision as to whether he's going to race yet, whether he's racing yet for this forthcoming season, whether he'll return to F1, because there is still an inquest or inquiry into the Abu Dhabi race that decided the championship. Apparently he feels disillusioned with the sport.
Why on earth is it still going on now?
I don't know. I've just picked up on
Surely that should have been done within 7 days of the event.
I think, yeah, because obviously it went away from the news because Mercedes and Hamilton said, we're not challenging, we don't want to win the World Championship in court. And I think that was 100% the right thing to do. As frustrating as I'm sure it would have been. But why there's still not been no, and I don't really know what they're going to achieve from it, because what if they come out and say, yeah, we got it wrong? How does that? So I can see what, my point is, I see why Hamilton is a bit disillusioned, but surely he'll race one, do you think?
Does he need to?
Well, he doesn't need it for the money,
it's not like he needs to do that, and then, I don't know, if you were going to be tired, you'd want to go out in a high, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
But at the same time, maybe he's just wanting, he likes a political statement, does our Hamilton?
He does, yeah.
So
maybe he's making a point. I don't know, that was it, but just interesting to know it's still rumbling on, and one of, love him or hate him, he's a bit like Marmite, I think, but you can't help but respect his achievements, and like you say, I think that was the point.
Yeah.
It would be horrible if he sort of slipped out the back door.
Yeah, I think, I've not been a big fan of Hamilton, but the way he conducted himself in that last race and the way he conducted himself at the final, after the finish of the race was uber professional and top notch. But yeah, interesting. We'll watch that. Right, you've got down here freak injury.
Yeah, so the Women's Cricket World Cup 50 over starts early this February March time, And so the squads have been
It's in New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah, so the squads have been announced. And South Africa have got quite a good side, and their captain is Van Niekerk, a very good opening batsman, captain, all round, bowls a bit of leg spin.
Old Vanny.
Yeah, married to Marianne Capps, who's also an all round who's very good.
Oh, Capsy.
She does a bit like that with the ball, that is. And anyway, so I saw that she had to play out the squad. The captain has to play out the squad there at the World Cup, blah blah blah. Turns out she slipped down and broke her ankle in 2 places, out for 12 weeks.
Ooh.
on the eve of a World Cup, and obviously devastated. And it got me thinking about some freak injuries in terms of others that you've heard of. Have you ever had a freak injury? And yeah, just how all of a sudden it can change. Because I mean, I've been on about the wicketkeeping situation for England, right? The bizarre thing about that is that folks in some of the side last winter wasn't picked for the original Test match in the summer, but then there was a COVID outbreak, if you remember, within the England camp, so they had to kind of pick a new side. He clearly would have kept wicket in that first Test match, but in the dressing room at the Oval after the game with Surrey, he just slipped on the dressing room floor, did his hamstring, like bad, or not quite a hurricane off the bone, but really bad. That was it, out for till near the end of the season. And that's why I think, right there on, I don't think he'll ever play for England again, because I just think like this time now, the circumstance is that they've got no wicketkeeper. Billings is in Australia because he's been playing Big Bash, so therefore it's obvious to get him in because you're not going to be able to quarantine and all that jazz in the circumstance. So, any freak injuries?
I personally haven't, but I've heard of a decent one through Gascoigne.
Go on, yeah. And I'll get some up that I found.
Brian Robson in the World Cup.
Yep.
In 1990. So it turns out the story that came out, circulated around the press, was that Brian Robson stubbed and broke his toe whilst at the swimming pool at the club hotel at the international base. The real story was Paul Gascoigne was on his bed and they're all a little bit lubricated, and Robson was trying to get him off the bed and was throwing the bed up and down in the air, and the bed came down and landed on his toe and broke his toe.
Is that right?
So they actually subsequently send him home, and who replaced him? David Platt, who then came on and scored the winner against Belgium with one of the best volleys you'll ever see.
What a dink from Gascoigne.
Oh,
that's I vaguely remember 86 World Cup, but I think more through
90 was the one I remember.
But the 90 I remember distinctly. I remember all of that. The Cameroon game, the nicking 2 penalties. I remember the opening game in '99 when Makanaki scored to beat Argentina 1-0 in the opening game. Platt replaced him. So I did find a couple. One that did make me laugh was Darren Fletcher. Apparently in 2008, after a Champions League win against Lyon, he missed a few games after this game, not because of injury during the game. He was sat on the loo afterwards, and the hinge off the door snapped, and the door fell on his head.
What?
So he missed. Got a cut on his head.
I'm not having that as a real story.
Yeah, that's apparently what happened. And then there was another one. Michael Jordan missed a few games because we know that Jordan likes a cigar.
Yes.
Apparently in a casino one night in his heyday when he's betting and romancing ladies, he's got big Cuban or whatever cigar it was, and he's got, obviously you have to have a cutter ready for them. Cut it, and he's cut his finger, cut all his tendons. And obviously as a basketball player, pretty bad.
Game on.
Myself never had a freak injury. Well, the only one I can think of was pre-season one year, and it was about 10 years ago actually. Done all the pre-season. It was the night before the first, I don't know if it's friendly or league game, one or the other. I can't just remember. And we're in Mum and Dad's garden. Bearing in mind, I'm 30 years old. We're having been having
20 years ago then.
Mucking about, stuff like that. Playing football. They had a big garden back then. And my brother's playing, and I'm going to go like, and I kid you not, he's blasted this ball at me. And you know what it's like? We start with a little friendly game between the kids are playing, and then a couple of cousins, and then it's dead serious, isn't it? So and he blasts this ball from point blank range, and I save it. I was like, straight away I went, oh my god, my wrist, I broke my wrist. Because absolutely up there. Now, luckily, I couldn't tell anybody. So, oh my God, it's so sore. Like, I know I was icing it. Next morning, it was so bad. And luckily, I hadn't broken it, and I didn't miss a game for it, but my goodness me, it was painful for a few weeks. Could you imagine that?
The fridge.
Yeah, the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We look forward to meeting him. Right. Before we go on to the fantasy football winner, mention AFCON. And the reason I want to mention this is that I felt really frustrated before AFCON started. The frustration bear the fruit from that was the fact that we lose so many good Premiership quality players over to the AFCON. Was why on earth is it not treated with more respect and given a bit more dignity, and that there's an actual break so they can actually play the games? There's no reason the AFCON can't run alongside the same time as European Championships, because the teams won't affect each other.
Yeah, well,
other than TV rights.
Isn't that the weather though?
But then it's like we've moved the World Cup to this time to do that. So there could have been an opportunity. So they've obviously moved it within the Premiership season. It happens every time. And we end up then losing all these quality players. Therefore, the lack of our quality kind of not drops massively, but affects teams big time.
Salah and Mane.
Well, like last night, we drew 0-0 with Arsenal.
10 men Arsenal.
17 shots, 1 on target.
When is Xhaka going to get the sack, by the way?
Oh, God knows. But he's stealing a living, that guy. But yeah, you look at that. So then I started thinking, and I remember Jurgen Klopp get some stick about not taking the AFCON as serious by a reporter who just completely got the story wrong.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, yeah, you're talking about that, but the whole FIFA governing body hasn't taken it as serious by the fact that they keep putting the AFCON in the middle of everybody's actual league state.
Yeah.
So can we look at that? So I started thinking, we maybe need to do more. And then AFCON goes and does its own self-applauding activities this week with a referee that has refereed at World Cup games and champion. Oh no, he did the World Club Championship as well. So he's refereed a good level. Decides to stop the game in the 85th minute. 85th minute. You're not even close to that.
But then he does it again in the 89th minute.
This makes it worse. And if you've not heard this story, I don't know. You must be hiding under a rock. But 85th minute, blows up full time. Realises his mistake. Plays the game. Carries on playing. Blows up on the 89th minute plus 50 seconds or something. So 10 seconds short of 90 minutes. But they've not taken into account the minutes he's already blown up and wasted, plus the injury time and the sending off one of their players. So you're talking it should have been 93 at least, if not a bit more. Blows up in the 89th minute, calls the game, team wins. Tunisia are going absolutely off the rocker going, there's still time left to be played. Everybody disperses from the ground. Then 20 minutes after the game's finished, then the fourth official then takes over as referee, and they bring them back out to play the last 5 minutes of the game. But the other Tunisia refused to come out and then lose the game 1-0.
And the result stands. I've seen that.
The result has stood. They can't do anything about it.
It does throws up things like that, because I don't know what it is about. You said African sports people or African officials, but they go crackers all of a sudden. Before I came to watch you, I watched the first 20 minutes of Cameroon-Ethiopia. What a game that was! But I tell you what, the goalkeepers and the referees are abysmal.
There can be some absolutely unbelievable players, but there are some absolute crazies out there.
And they were saying on commentary, so over here I get it through BE, so it's just the comments, there's no co-commentator. I don't even know where it is, so I know in England, I think BBC do it, don't they? And I don't know how true this is, but this commentator was saying, talking about his breaking plays, going, they were worried about the pigs. Because there are big tufts of grass in this new stadium in Cameroon. It's going to be the new Nationals, basically coming up from the pitch. Then he was saying, I don't know how true it was, that they weren't even sure. In fact, I think there's still people outside the ground holding parts of the ground or still building it or something as the game's going on. I don't know how true that is.
This is the problem: is you've got a competition there that has got some real quality in there, and the African teams do well at the World Cup and always surprise a few teams. So the games are actually entertaining.
They are entertaining, is the right word.
People need, or the FIFA needs to get a grip of this and take it more seriously.
Yeah, and then in the next breath, they're still talking about 2-year World Cup. Ridiculous.
Yeah, forget that. But before we finish, fantasy football winner this week, Dan Barron, 97 points.
Good effort, Dan Barron.
I did have a look at yours. You were 30 something.
Yeah,
I got 79.
I didn't realise about the double games, and I've gone to do my tie this afternoon for the weekend.
Double games,
so it was alright. But I had half my team injured or in the AFCON, so I've had to lose some points. But you got to speculate to accumulate, haven't you?
Is that what they say?
I'm on your tail, Boothie.
Okay, yeah. Well, my tail must be a fair length then if you're on the back. I'm 13th, you're 90 something.
That's alright.
But end of the day, Jack.
What do we know?